We are following major economic news. New numbers suggesting the U.S. labor market is not as strong as it has appeared to be. According to a preliminary report from the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the U.S. added nearly 1 million fewer jobs than originally reported for the year through March. This is a gigantic adjustment that we're talking about here. And if it holds through February, when the final tally is reported, this would mark the largest annual revision ever. CNN's Vanessa Yurkevich is here to break down the numbers for us. Vanessa, what does this tell us about the state of the economy?
Well, it certainly shows that in the months of April 2024 through March of 2025, the U.S. economy, in terms of the jobs market, was a lot weaker than we had originally expected and which we originally seen as reported by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. But today's report is an annual report. It comes out every single year, and there's been some sort of revisions that the BLS has done for the better part of 90 years now. What is a little atypical about this report is that the revision is so large. It is the largest on record, 911,000 jobs to the downside, fewer jobs added over the course of that 12-month period. If you average that out, that's about 76,000 fewer jobs added each month. And that time period that we're talking about, that is mostly under the Biden administration, just a couple months, 3 months under the Trump administration. Now, sectors that really saw the steepest number of jobs lost in terms of what we thought was going to be there, but actually didn't end up being there, was trade, transportation, and utilities. 226,000 fewer jobs there. Leisure and hospitality, 176,000 fewer jobs than initially reported. And for professional and business services, 158,000 fewer jobs than initially reported. But as I said, this is typical. These revisions certainly do happen. But to the downside, one of the reasons, or a couple reasons rather, that this does happen is because the Bureau of Labor Statistics is really trying to work with survey data that they get from businesses. So some newer companies may have suggested that they were hiring more people than they actually did. And that survey data, the response rate has really dropped in recent years. So they're trying to merge survey data with, now in this report, Brianna, much clearer and much more pointed tax filing data that businesses provide. And they're trying to merge those two and trying to paint a clearer picture. But also in those tax filings from companies, they will not be reporting undocumented workers. And so we know that they are a large portion of the labor force, but they will not be counted in this report. That is also why you can potentially see that this number is revised a lot lower than was anticipated.
And this revision, Vanessa, covers most of President Biden's final year in office, as you noted. It also comes after President Trump, in quite a spectacular fashion, fired the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. He accused her without evidence of rigging the numbers in favor of Democrats. Is there any reason to doubt this new data?
There isn't, and that is because as a viewer at home, you may be saying, wait a minute, these numbers keep changing up and down, but that's actually to get the numbers to more of an accurate representation of the jobs market. As new data comes in, more surveys come in, more data points come in, the Bureau of Labor Statistics is able to get to a more accurate picture of the jobs market. And Brianna, in February of 2026, we will actually get the final annual number for what the labor market looked like this year. Also worth pointing out that the commissioner of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Brianna, doesn't have any oversight over the collection of this data. They're not involved in the data. And when these big jobs reports comes out on a Friday, the commissioner doesn't even see that data until the Wednesday before. And William Beach, he's a former BLS commissioner under President Trump, he's told CNN that when he was commissioner, he was locked out of the process in the building of which this data collection was happening. So the commissioner is so far removed from this process that they have little involvement. However, we have heard from the Bureau of Labor Statistics that certainly the BLS could do for an upgrade. They could do a modernization of the data collection to maybe make it more timely, maybe make it a little more accurate in terms of the initial reporting. But the Trump administration says that they are going to look into that. But we know that President Trump was pretty unhappy with that July jobs report that did show revisions. Also, Brianna, worth pointing out that that is very typical with this report in particular. It's the size of the revisions that is raising some eyebrows.
Yeah, certainly. More than that, I think I'm just reading an alert. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon said that these numbers these numbers could mean the economy is entering a recession. So that is just in. I know that you'll be looking at that. Quite a headline there, Vanessa. Thank you so much for the report and taking us through all of those numbers.